right, so I'm gonna keep running with this. So now, this is the same video, the same series where I have the same outfit on for context. So this is on this channel, like I'm floating by some pet theories, and it's like I'm maybe like stepping a little bit on a branch by offering some of these statements like on a public platform. But I say bring it on. But that's like I'm not a person looking for smoke, but that might actually be good smoke. So what's a good kind of smoke? The good kind of smoke is the one that has your mind uh, where it wouldn't otherwise be, and you're maybe like sharing cool ideas with other people or with yourself, and actually growing as a person and getting better from it. That's a good kind of smoke. I won't say what all brings that, but also the good kind of smoke would be like offering those statements, but actually having like thought upon them and reason enough to stand on something that could maybe draw a flag. Is to make an idea that seems cool, just off of your prerogative to think. So if it seems cool to you, it might really be cool. And an example of that, like from a more vetted or more thorough source, is that. So I wanted, but with that standpoint, the good smoke, the smoke of like the space cadet, couch cowboy, couch surfer, having cool thoughts, realizing how cool the ceiling had been all along, or the back of our hand had been all along. Um, I want to say that but I want to also keep it a little bit musical because I started this channel as a music concept, and I want to still bring it back to that. But just like exercising our prerogative to think is where I think the coolest ideas come from, music and otherwise. So it's still in the greater sense of this channel. But uh but so that must have been a good channel, because a good statement, because I already got flack in like a random phone call that came up on my screen. But I want to say according to Arthur, but in the spirit, in the interest of music, according to Arthur Avalon, is that this is similar to what Nassim Nicholas Taleb said. Nassim Nicholas Taleb said in his book, I think it was the book Anti-Fragile, is that ideas are really only going to be moving if they first move us. That's the standpoint of something being moving to others, is that it first moves us, and that's the real litmus. That's the real gold standard. Is that, does it move you? Um, and then therefore it's valuable. Whether or not something is informative, maybe even creative and musical, does it first move you? And then let's go with that. But according to, in a similar sense, according to Arthur Avalon, what we call great, what has conceived our opportunity to exist, and maybe support that, challenge that, and respect our opportunity to exist. The cause of that, the intelligent cause, the efficient intelligent cause of our experiencing as existing, and therefore being viable to learn. And you could say maybe all the only things that we really possess are what we have really learned, and they're ours, and learned and loved. Is they're ours because we made choices, and we were willing to suffer loss and enjoyment as a consequence of those choices, and therefore that can really be appreciated as ours. And one thing that can be confiscated, as most things can and will be confiscated. The author Robert Greene has said that most of the things we have in life will be taken from us, wrested from us at some point, likely when we weren't ready, or when at least convenient, things will be wrested from us. But according to Arthur Avalon, that what that intelligent cause is, I think he has said that it may be immortal because it wastes not. That's the standpoint of the greatest of things, the greatest of causes, the efficient of causes, the cause of causes, the strength of it, and the endurance of it is that it wastes not. Then I can also appreciate that this is me, is that it would be constituted as healing. One thing that I would appreciate as the intelligent, efficient cause of causes, the cause the cause is healing, would be a part of that. Is maybe also damage and pain would be equally, because maybe you don't have healing without outside of damage and pain, if we're being honest, because they say no gain without pain, no healing without pain, no gain without healing. um but but we can appreciate economy and healing. But then another one is that recognition of self and other is probably the greatest. I've wondered sometimes what really is like maturity like for young people, and some people would even say that female children mature faster than boys. Some people, the YouTuber Tony Gaskins has made a comment along that lines, at least as far as verbal development goes. But what I want to say is that what I've come to appreciate, also working with people of all different, many people, many children, many adults, and many elderly, um, uh, a significant around degree of work around all those, including my peers, has been an appreciation of pattern recognition. Just the different patterns that come from living is very unique, and I've maybe appreciated that no two people recognize, appreciate, and engage patterns the same way, and that might be the greatest understanding. Is that everyone from that standpoint has something to share, something to teach, something to offer. Simply because no person can appreciate patterns the same way, because maybe no people perceive the same way, or choose the same way, or enjoy the same way, or suffer the same way. And so we have different patterns, and therefore all different standpoints are as equally valuable, and our standpoint to real growth is to maybe the realest growth is to recognize that there are things that can be recognized by others that we can't recognize in an environment and even in ourselves. It would be one is the patterns, but another one is, and this is similar to what Nassim Nicholas Taleb has said, is that Nassim Nicholas Taleb, he's about strength. It's interesting. He commends strength first and foremost, and also Arthur Avalon commends strength first and foremost. Arthur Avalon, in some of his works, such as Introduction to Tantra, volumes 1 and 2, and the Serpent Power, which is referring to Kundalini, the active aggregate of the activity of the human body, based in the base dynamic would be Kundalini, but then the centered static support of that would be in something called Kendra, as something called Kendra in the sacrum is the housing or the support of the entire activities of the human body, and under certain circumstances it can be roused to travel through the different centers of consciousness in the human body. They've been appreciated differently in different cultures, such as think on your feet, makes the blood boil, weaken the knees, you're not dancing if you're not shaking your hips, you might be thinking with the wrong member, do you feel it in your gut, tingling in your spine, that one's got a lot of gall, made a decision with the heart, when when you're nervous and you feel that something in your throat, the fact that our tongue is always talking both causal, subtle, and gross degrees of speech. According to Arthur Avalon, that might be actually all thinking might be actually occurring with the tongue, if not from the tongue, from that standpoint. Then following your nose, or you can see the soul in the eyes, or that one's very cerebral. So you can appreciate we have many degrees of consciousness in the traditional standpoint from India, traditions in India, where that might have been first promulgated or enunciated and put into like writing and learning the different degrees of consciousness, as they're called chakras. I think the word had been padmas in some of the other teachings like that Arthur Avalon references that might have been, I'm not sure how it went from being described as padma to chakra, but just that we have different degrees of consciousness in our body, and that might actually be necessary and dynamic for the different functions of a human body in life. But that Kundalini can rise under certain circumstances and amount to something called Satori, or enlightenment, nirvana, when it reaches a certain point in the head, under rare circumstances. But the point is that even though he understood all that, he just simply appreciated a man's man, is what Arthur Avalon and Nassim Nicholas Taleb appreciated, a person who can think original thoughts. Also, Arthur Avalon appreciated someone who can think original thoughts. The term for that is Muni in India, in some traditions of India and Sanskrit. And it doesn't necessarily have to be entirely sophisticated. It's just more so, is it original? Is it an original thinker, a Muni? And I think Osho's an example of that. But even for that, Nassim Nicholas Taleb appreciated an original thinker and someone that would stand on position, stand for truth. But equally, he respected people that stand up for what's weak, for what's vulnerable, for what's for who had compassion, empathy for something that's vulnerable, is outstanding to him. And you more so see that in females children sooner than in boys, I think, and that would be a